Move 11. Thanks for keeping the game short. So we wouldn't have to spend too much time on it. All right. So what do we got here? All right. I've got game submissions for tonight's October 27th subscriber analysis stream. I'm International Master William Pascal. Welcome to the stream. I'm having a manic episode. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really having a manic episode. We're tired. Thursday's a long day. What's up, Mr. Coffee Asterbate? I got kicked out of the Skechers store today. Oh no, that was Kanye West. He was having a manic episode, probably. Alright, we've got Asterbate, Big Dummy, Sumahair, Move 11, Mule Skinner in the list. Mr. Coffee, am I supposed to have a game from you? Did we neglect Mr. Coffee again? No. Hola. Hola. ¿Qué tal? Sí. Pero muy poco. Absolutely. Yes. Sorry for the noise, boys and girls. Alright. Terrible. Horrible. Okay. Welcome to our analysis stream. Asterbate is up first. We've got Big Dummy, Schumacher, Mule Skinner, and Move 11. I am accepting bribes to move the game up in the list. Actually, where is Nils? It's been a long time since he's been in the game. Should be playing like league games in the Netherlands. Nothing from Jim for a long time. Jim, if you're out there. Uber drivers online. Speaking of dogma. Uber's online like playing bullet chess. Very deep. Yeah, you can submit bribes to move up the list. I don't have a lot of donations or sort of financial support this week. Just one gift sub from Mr. Coffee. Wow, what a coincidence. Mr. Coffee donated a gift sub and he cheered this week. Father of the bribe, Nils. Nils is the father of the bribe. Dr. Chipchance, welcome. Why was I thinking about you earlier? Don't remember. Something with Dr. Chipchance. One of your games? Oh yeah. Maybe it was one of your games. I don't remember. I don't know, maybe one of your games popped up when I was reviewing some games that I had played. It's very congested in my brain right now. Alright. The first game is Asterbate playing black. Let's flip the board here. Maybe Uber Driver will have a cheapo to share with us later. I just wanted to mention, I just saw online, I never met him, but Michael Basman, the English IM, who was very famed for his unorthodox openings, passed away, I guess today, possibly yesterday, I'm not sure. It was just the first I'd seen of it. So I know he was probably like in his 70s, but he was very, very beloved by the English chess community. So that lots of people were surprised. Apparently he had pancreatic cancer, which is pretty deadly, but that he was pretty optimistic, personality-wise, even at the end. I never met him, sadly. He never played in a tournament where I was there. All the times that I played in Hastings, I think he was mostly playing, teaching, writing and teaching. So he was a renowned coach in the UK. I've got a game here, or something being submitted from Saiku Chess. Are you Saiku Chess? Oh. Smurf account. Giving away your Smurf account here. Alright. We won't tell anybody if you don't tell. Man, I think I need a beer. The last game I could find from Basman in the Grob was against Geary, like back in 2014. I think I'm gonna get a beer. I really need a beer. It's been a long day. Guys, just bear with me. I'll be right back, and we're gonna start these games. Alright. Shorosh Pohar in honor of Shorosh George. Do we have some high level donations? Come on. Beer bite back. I have freaking dementia and whatever. Alright, it's a long day. Thursdays is a long day for me. Yeah, Geary 00014. Geary is a freaking computer. He's the most computer-like player, I think, of all the top grandmasters, even more so than like Carlsen. So Michael Basman, rest in peace. You inspired me, even though I never met you, you inspired me to play the St. George defense. Somewhere in my storage unit I have Basman's pamphlet on the St. George defense. Although, you know, Miles was my main inspiration. Sorry for the annoying question, but now how long is the list? It's much shorter if you make a bribe donation. The list is not so long. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You're sixth. Uber driver taking my daughter to ride a horse. Oh man, Halloween horse ride. Is there a headless horseman? Move 11 sent through PayPal. PayPal. I don't know, man. I need a beer for sure this week. Uber driver just donated 500 bits. He's not even on the list. Taking his daughter to ride a horse. Headless horseman. Hay ride. Have fun with that. Halloween stream will be Sunday, by the way. When Panda disappears and turns into a monstrosity. And Move 11 made a donation via PayPal. Not sure if what? Man, you guys are very generous. Uber driver's the chip leader for this week. This is my first beer this week. Is that scary or what? Liver Rehabilitation Week. Alright. Uber horse. Let me check move 11. Sent through PayPal, not sure if it worked. PayPal or Streamlabs. It didn't go through Streamlabs then. Let's check PayPal. Thursdays is a long day. We are going to get to work here. Chess Kudo. Yeah, it's not like 10 games. It's only like 5 or 6. Just be right with you guys. Move 11 is donating to move up the list. Man, that's good beer. Something special about a beer when you haven't had a beer in a long time. So we've got a donation from Move 11 for $25. That entitles you to very in-depth analysis. First on the list. Alright, I'm going to give it everything I've got for this one. Move 11 submitted a super short game, actually. So we're going to do all we can. Okay. That's quite nice. It is. Astrobay just gifted tier 1 sub to Tetolida, the Czech player who played in our stream yesterday. Alright. That I failed to beat him in a winning rook ending. This is move 11 against Baggio. Baggio, I guess, is like a football reference. Craig Biggio. Astrobait, thank you. Move 11 just gifted another tier 1 sub to the community. Devi Voronishia. Oh, Tetolida is here. That's why he was first in the... For each dollar donation, the depth of analysis increases by 2 moves. Hype Train is close. Mr. Coffee, 200 bits. Hype Train is close. So the following game is... Let's get to the Hype Train this time. We've got 1 minute and 30 seconds. Move 11 is playing a training game against Hungarian IM Bagi Mate, who is pretty highly rated. I mean, Mate is definitely like on the high side of 2450. He doesn't play a lot. I know he's been getting into poker. I constantly see him at the poker club. Though we've never played on the same table. For whatever reason. He seems to be focusing on poker. We've got Baggio against move 11. Training game e4, c5, knight c3. I don't know. I've never played Mate, so I don't really know that much about him just by watching him play other people. But he's aggressive. He seems well prepared theoretically. Move 11 here playing g6. I mean, the gold standard is knight to c6 in the closed Sicilian. If you play the Najdorf and Hype Train, guys, 43 seconds. It looks like we need one more donation. Astrobait just gifted tier 1 sub to radicalized Busilim. Bus Silim. Did we hit the Hype Train or miss it? I'm so lagged that I don't even know. I got no notification. It just said a Hype Train is close and then nothing. So I guess we missed it. So g6, d6 in the case of Najdorf Dragon players. So we're playing g6 here. You think it departed. A lot of people play Grand Prix. I definitely welcome a knight c6 here. Well, I mean, g6 gives white extra options, like h4, which I think is quite interesting. And notice that has like the highest statistical score, although the sample size is very small. h4 is definitely dangerous. Carlsen has played it. I do think that maybe black should play h5 in this position. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of automatically playing h5, but and then the other line is d4. This is sharp, and theoretically, white should be able to get some edge. So technically, g6 is like a little risky, giving white these extra options. G3 by Mate, though. I mean, against a sharp player like that, I'd be happy to see him, playing g3. He's quite a strong attacker. So I don't know. I would be most afraid of the sharper moves like d4, h4. Closed Sicilian is a closed Sicilian. I don't think it matters how good you are tactically once you get into the closed Sicilian. Knight c6, bishop g2, bishop g7, and now the really reserved knight on g to e2. I played this against Josh Whiteskin in 1991. Probably one of my only closed Sicilians that I ever played. I used to play the closed Sicilian as black against the English, like a reverse closed Sicilian. I remember I had not a great game against Whiteskin, and I didn't feel inclined to... That seriously had to be one of my first e4 games. I remember playing e4 against Jean Curdo, I mentioned on the stream, who passed away a month ago. I played e4 against Curdo, and I think the game with Whiteskin was probably a couple months later, 1991 or so. One of my first earliest e4 games. But anyway, that's just history. So move 11 here played e6. There's really 4 moves. I mean, you can play rook b8. I don't see any particular major advantage in rook b8 right away. You can play it right away, though. If you're going to play rook b8 and b5, you can do it right away. If I play rook b8, normally I'll play d6 first anyway. Obviously, you can play e5 as well. This is playable for black. I don't particularly like the hole on d5. I mean, e6 is main line, probably. Petrosian formation. With d6, you can follow up with either e6, e5, or rook b8. So this is the most flexible move. But move 11 played e6. Nothing wrong with that. White plays now d3, knight on g to e7, and then bishop e3. And last time I played this, I think, was against an expert at the Boylston Chess Club back in the late 90s. I did knight d4, and he did queen d2, and I did queen a5. But move 11 also had a game against me, training game online, where you also did something like d6, right? This I never realized this was even playable until actually, I'm still not sure about it. The question is d4, cd4, knight d4. Is this a move? No. We have knight b5. I mean, you have to look at it, but it's got to be bad. What games you analyze? It's not my choice. The people send me the games. Exactly. So you guys send me the games. Yeah. I don't know about allowing d4 move 11. Why do you allow d4? I mean, why not just play knight to d4? This seems like the standard. Pierun versus Moisenko. I love how the second game on the list is Boris Spassky. That's how hot the closed Sicilian with knight on e2 is. The second game is Spassky LeBron from 87. But honestly, I think this is our best chance. Just knight d4. Okay, so move 11 is playing d6, allowing d4. And what's the final analysis of that? White's supposed to, black's just supposed to castle. I'm trying to remember what it was. I think I remember now. It wasn't takes and queen b6. It was queen b6 right away, wasn't it? Was it something with this? Surprising move. The computer found an idea. Let's see. Yeah. Novelty. So that's the move? Yeah. Isn't that amazing? I mean, 12 games and no one found it. I don't know who Pirun's opponent is, but for me it's like kind of weird. I remembered looking at this because we saw this before. Yeah, I didn't see it. I just had a gut instinct that I didn't want to do d4. Here, Mate also realized. But so queen b6 is the refutation. Black is fine after queen b6. Okay. But I think he will be threatening it on the next move. So after castles, maybe black is threatening, white is threatening d4 now. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. So what, I don't understand. What happens after you castle here? Why doesn't he have d4 now? Ah, this is the Vietnamese game. Okay. So now black just goes b6. Yeah, it's funny. I saw this idea earlier. We've seen this in other streams. So surprising. Okay, thanks, Tetolita. Yeah, absolutely. Just send a PGN or a link to me here on Lichess. Yeah, and what's his name? Win Trongson played this with black. So d4 is not dangerous. Alright, he just plays queen d2, and you still refuse to play knight d4. I don't know. I think I maybe played b6 here. It's not a particularly exciting move. Player, change, /G, Sparkle Horse, black, black, hello, black, no games found. Alright, so what have I played here? Well, I only have one game in this position. In my life, definitely there are more. I only have one game here. I played rook b8. That's okay. I mean, rook b8 is solid. Let's see what the opening explorer says. Knight d4, b6, rook e8. Rook e8 is stupid. This is a totally stupid idea. It's like if white plays bishop h6, you want to play like e5 and lock everything on dark squares. Avoiding that exchange like it's an open Sicilian or something is really bad. So queen d2, so move 11 played a novelty, b5. The idea is to lose a pawn for nothing. No, seriously, how bad is this idea? That's sad. Alright. Yeah, I got a game. Sad story, like a real sad story, is that Michael Basman died. Although I never met him. He was a huge... Oh, Ted Toledo, you gotta make the study... You gotta make the study, not private. Wait. Oh. Wait. Yeah. There are sad stories and then there's really sad stories. Sad story. Anyway, back to the game. So move 11, you got creative. Oh, why am I not synced in my own study? You got creative with b5 novelty. Why don't you like knight to d4? This is like really standard. You play knight d4, he plays like Nigel Short. You make some sort of move. I don't know, b6 or whatever. White plays c3. You trade his knight. White plays queen takes. You offer a draw. That's the way it like typically goes. It looks like rook b8 is number one. But like my rook b8 is also okay. So move 11 with a novelty. b5. Okay, the first thing I thought is like after knight takes b5, rook b8, you missed c4. I'm sorry, you missed c4, and you just like lost the pawn after a6, knight c3, and resigned. Then I thought, okay, how does this work anyway? I mean, you have bishop takes b2. He plays rook b1. You just go back, and what's the big deal? It should be okay for black. So it's not that b5 is necessarily a problem. Oh, you played rook b8. That really happened. Unbelievable. Oh man. It's the first thing I thought of. The first thing I looked at was knight takes b5, rook b8, knight a3. Rook takes b2, knight c4, but that's not really a problem. I mean, this is the kind of mistake you should make in like a bullet or blitz game. It's a reasonable mistake in a super fast time control. Like, oh crap, it's a bullet game. I forgot he has c4. But honestly, like move 11, you got to slow down. I mean, in the openings. Why can't you play bishop takes b2? I'm honestly not even sure he should play knight takes b5. I kind of had the feeling like he probably shouldn't. I'm not sure if it benefits white to take that pawn. What if he just plays like rook a e1? You know, what would Boris Spassky do? Rook a e1, b4, knight d1. Now this pawn is a problem. So you can do something of this sort where that pawn is an issue. You know, he can do the old a4 trick. I'm sorry, a3, my other a4. a3 maybe? a3. Yeah, no, but there's a problem with 11. If you play a5, a4, you know, b4, he can't go here because he like loses his b2 pawn. This isn't protected. So I think, you know, if his rook is on b1, then a5, a4, b4, knight b5, white has a good game. But his rook's not on b1. I mean, this is an open diagonal. So maybe, I don't know, maybe a5 is not good because of knight takes b5. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, now knight takes b5, bishop takes b2, rook b1. This doesn't favor you. All right, yeah, so if a3, yeah, rook b8, I guess. I'm curious about knight to d4. Probably rook b8. But, I mean, I still think you should just play, like, the normal moves here. b6 or knight d4. Or rook b8 right away. Why not just play rook b8 right away? You keep your options open. If you play bishop h6, you play e5. You're going to play e5 at some point. This is, this is what Dvoretsky would recommend. f4 and f6. Vescovi with black, Bogatyrev with black. It's a standard close Sicilian, but I slightly prefer black. So knight takes b5. Now why can't you play bishop takes b2? You can and should, but what's the evaluation? I don't see any reason why this is bad for you. Bishop takes b2. Rook A B1, bishop G7. I don't know. Maybe white has a little bit of extra play because his rook is on the A file. But I don't think your position is that bad. What about when white plays F5 after F6? Well, I mean, typically that happens a lot. And you have to blockade with G5, but sometimes you take on F5. Every situation is slightly different. Yeah, I think that's very dangerous when white has like H4. So that variation like F6, if F5, if he plays like H4, maybe starting F5, I don't know. I mean, I had a game like this against some German player in Blitz, where they like sacked his pawn and I just took it. I think it was like an IM or GM. I mean, every situation is different. This is very dangerous, especially if white's knight is on F3. It could swing out to like H4. But I'm not sure F5 is even playable. This looks really stupid. F takes E5. That's what this kid played against Vescovi. World Open 2000, game over. But Barla would play something normal, I mean, he's a good player. So he played H3, B5, G4, B4, knight D5, knight D5, E5, knight E7, and then G5. But I guess black might be slightly better. White's bishop is bad. You're playing against the bad bishop. I'm not sure. That was World Senior. Speaking of the World Senior Championship, I'm going to be going to the World Senior Championship in 2 weeks. Maybe I'll play Giannis Barla. He's not in the list. Bagaturo's not in the list. Alright. Castles, Queen D2, B5, question mark, C4, and now we're down a pawn with inadequate compensation. You played Queen B6. Queen B6, is that a blunder? He has knight takes D6. It's not an issue. I guess I would probably just play A6 and drive him back to C3 and start over again down a pawn. At least you have control of D4. A6 here. Maybe then Queen B6. You're down a clear pawn. Bishop D7. What can you say, Here. Here. Phew. Wow, B4. Now that's a spicy meatball. What about A6? You played knight takes B4. You weren't awake when you played this game. Are you sure you didn't just dream you played this game? So he has knight D6? What's going on here? A6, knight D6? Rook D6? Pawn D6? I mean pawn C5, queen B1? Are you sure? Pawn here? Are we sure it's over? Are you 100% sure it's over? How is it 2 pawns up? After rook takes here. 2 pawns up. Takes. Queen takes. Takes. We're going to give that piece back and you're 2 pawns down. Let's just say, I don't know, Queen B2, takes, takes, you're 2 pawns down. I mean, like, this kind of position looks pretty bad. I wouldn't resign, I mean, if I'm playing for money in a tournament or something. But yeah, objectively, you're lost. Yeah, I mean, but neither variation is completely lights out. I'm not at all convinced about this. White's gonna have to prove it. What's the engine say? Yeah, B takes C. Yeah, I mean, I feel like your resignation is a tad premature. He has to play this. You play queen b2. He has to take this. You take back. I mean, his a pawn's pretty weak, and you're threatening queen takes d2 and rook b2. I wouldn't want you to resign if it was a tournament game. You know, I don't think you should resign there right away. Nobody ever won by resigning. Okay, so I got another game. Thank you guys. Move 11. I mean, you gotta slow down in the openings in these training games. You do it against me too. You play too fast. Gotta find your pace. All right, I'll just put Tetalita in the list here, and we'll do that game last. Tetramin. You played knight takes before and resigned. Alrighty. Oh no, I closed the wrong window? Alright. That was a long analysis of 11 move loss. The longest analysis we've ever done of 11 move loss. You gotta find yourself the right mindset. Take these training games like your life depended on it. Are you playing these training games like your life depended on them? Alright, Astrobate is up first. Astrobate, what do we got? Why am I not synced? Is somebody like hijacking my study? Who keeps hijacking my study? Play every game like your life depends on it, Move 11. Don't get too nervous or anything. You're just hanging by your fingernails from the edge of a bridge. Maybe you need more, you know, a little more intensity. It's not a merely academic exercise. I mean, it can be, you know, like you're playing me and Mate and all these strong players too much. And it's like disheartening. You know, you're losing too often because you're playing only strong players. Maybe you need the reinforcement of winning sometimes. It's like playing a computer all the time. Okay, Astrobate facing c4, g6. This is a good move, but white can play d4. Transposing to the modern defense. I just want to turn this Opening Explorer off for a second. Seriously, Astrobate, we've got to ask a question here. Like in the other opening, right? Remove 11 plays knight c6 for a reason, or doesn't play knight c6 for a reason. He's not playing knight c6, like for example, maybe he doesn't want to face bishop b5. But when you face this move with c4, you know, how does, you know, what are you avoiding basically by playing g6 here rather than knight to c6? What's the advantage in playing g6? White can play d4 immediately. You have to take it. You don't have to. I mean, you play the modern. But okay, you take it. He plays queen takes d4. Now, you're obviously not going to be like some grandmasters. Knight f6 here, and you're threatening knight c6. So knight c3, knight c6, queen somewhere. You have a reasonable position. Alright. Alright. So there is a problem. If you play knight c6, white plays knight f3, you can actually play, or for that matter, knight e2. You theoretically can play e5 and shut him down if you want to. If you want to make sure that white can't play advantageously d4, you have the option to prevent it. I saw Naj Gabor playing something like this and in English recently, which is like a really like weird way to prevent the opponent from playing d4. I saw Naj Gabor do it with white in the tournament I played a couple months ago. I mean, it's an interesting idea, but g6 isn't going to prevent d4. But I don't know why like it's better to play g6, because you definitely don't want to do this, for example. There's no inherent advantage in g6 versus knight c6 is what I'm saying. Alright. So white, if he's going to play d4, he needs to try it right away. He doesn't have to. Knight f3 is fine. Knight f3 is fine. There are some possibilities like this, and this. But white plays this. What is that? This is really ugly. Bishop g7. Now he's forced to play knight to c3. Now obviously here you could play bishop takes c3, but I don't think it's a particularly strong move. So what do we do? Thanks Move 11 for supporting the stream with a donation. Sorry you didn't get the time for a better game, but make sure next time you play like your life is on the line. I think you need more intensity. Astrobate here. My first instinct is to play knight c6. But instead you played like the hyper combative knight f6, threatening knight takes e4. This is interesting. So you're preventing bishop b2 with a threat of knight takes e4. And if f3, I suppose it's not a particularly great move for white. d3 is not a particularly great move for white. And e5, you go back to g8 or out to h5. h5 is provocative. If you play knight h5 like a Norwegian rat or whatever, we're threatening this pawn. Not so easy for white. I think this knight h5 might actually be a decent move here. What do you guys think? They can't play... I mean, they could play f4 as a pawn sack. f4 looks horrible for white. Even just d6. If you took the pawn, white might have tricks, but even that's probably bad. Yeah, this white position is done. So you can't play e5. This is provocative. Nice job, Astrobate. I think white has to play something awkward, like bishop d3 or f3 to secure his pawn. This is a funny position, though. Your opponent played... Yeah. Your opponent played d3, and you missed this. Slicey. Slicey diagonal. There's no defense, right? What is he going to play here? Maybe knight takes? Knight takes, bishop takes a1, bishop g5. Hoping for some sort of cheapo, like bishop g7, knight d6 check, king f8. But even this is nothing. King Kong, welcome. Even this is nothing. Yeah, so you missed it. You suffer from the same problem as move 11, that you played too quickly. You guys are playing 30-minute games, and you're making your decisions very quickly. But if you're going to play knight f6 in the dragon, you should be aware of the long diagonal. I mean, honestly, like, this is kind of counterintuitive. Like, you're blocking your own bishop. The only reason for this move, basically, it prevents bishop b2. Would you have seen it if he had played bishop b2? No, seriously, guys. I would wager that if white had played bishop b2, Astrobate would have seen this move. But because he didn't play bishop b2, for some reason it's like it's different or something, and he doesn't see it. D3. Okay, you just saw this was protected. Yeah, I mean, I get it. If here you see that, you see the pin, but you think, oh, here it's protected. Maybe this is his best chance to sack the exchange, when you should probably play f6. You know, white does something like h4, and if it's a blitz game, I guess white has some practical chances to save the game. You know? That's probably his best try. So Asterbay plays d6, bishop b2, knight c6, bishop e2, and now never play queen a5. That's my biggest catchphrase. He does it anyway. But I tell you guys, never play queen a5. I've been guilty of it sometimes too. The problem is there's nothing exciting that black can do here. No more tricks, and you just have to play chess in this ugly closed Sicilian. Probably a6, rook b8, b5. Maybe wait to castle till we see white's gonna castle. Okay, but queen a5 is a cheapo, designed to play knight takes e4. Ultimately, the queen is sort of out of play, committed to one side of the board here. He saw the threat, and now your queen is out on a5, blocking. Well, I would say it's just kind of sidelined. You know, it's nice, but it's not in the center of the board. It might be needed on the other side of the board later. Just remember that your queen is out of play. Now, absolutely horrifying move, bishop g4. That's white's worst piece. You know, you're trading off there. The bishop on e2. It's like that's... You detected the worst piece and traded it off. Hey, let's find my opponent's worst piece and trade it off for him. Bishop g4. Your opponent sent you a thank you note. Thanks for trading off my worst piece, dude. I didn't know how I was going to get rid of that light squared bishop. He doesn't trade it off. Face palm. The power of suggestion. Aspirate 100% psychology. 0% calculation. The worst move on the board, f3. Weakening his position and forcing Asterbay to not trade off his good bishop. Bishop d7. And then another horrifying move, a4. Creating a massive weakness on b4. And thereby, like, another weakness on b3. And really, like, justifying queen a5. You're going for a dinner, okay. You can also, like, check out the replay later. You know, the biggest thing is like a3, b4, maybe at some point our queen will be exposed. If he plays a4, he can't play a3, b4. Now you retreated your queen for no reason. I love that. And, you know, you used a minute and 30 here. I like your queen now. Because of this weakness here. Obviously, if like knight to d4, white can play bishop d1. But it's possible for you to go queen b4. I mean, maybe it's not good. Maybe he can play like... Maybe he can play bishop a3. But again, I'm not sure. I mean, what's going on here? Knight takes. My God. Although that's a confusing position. I'm afraid our knight is trapped on d2. Bishop e4, knight d2. Bishop a3. Talk about a confusing position. I think this is actually good for black. Wow. Yeah, knight b3 works. Wow. So queen b4 is a good move. I would never castle queenside here. But why would you retreat your queen? You're afraid of like a knight d5 tactic. Alright, queen d8. He plays knight d5 anyway. I'm going to turn off the engine here. Okay, so I would play most likely e6 now. e6, knight f6, bishop f6. Black's better. This may not be may not be a bad move. Bishop d4. You got his valuable dark squared bishop. The only thing is, like, these pawns, he has like b4 and a little bit of play with the queenside pawns maybe. He does it immediately. e6 takes. Okay. Position's very locked up. Do you have a problem with castling? Maybe you should play like bishop h6. So h5 first, threatening bishop h6. Drive it in there like the heart of the vampire. And maybe walk your king over to f8 and g7. h5, h4, for example, bishop h6, queen moves, bishop e3, and you can walk like this over to g7. But I mean, he's probably going to die with the bishop on e3 like that. I don't think that white can survive long term with the, you know, permanent resident on e3. You got to get your bad bishop to a powerful position. So you broke it open with d5, but I mean, your king is still in the center here as well. But d5 is probably, sorry for the scroll, d5 is probably okay. I'm a little worried about this rolling up. So I think that's actually like, this is like the last thing he should do. He should probably think about like pushing. At least he has a passed pawn. Or exchanging the other one. I don't see any reason to do that. Objectively, he should just play like rook c1. Actually, that's dangerous, right? h5 and then here. Probably he should just play c5. If you attack it, he can defend it. Hopefully. Somehow. Yeah, actually looks like kind of weak. So he plays this. You take. You don't take. Okay. I don't care. You sacrifice the pawn. I'm not thrilled about it, actually. Yeah, man. I mean, you got to take here. You chip away at his center. If he does this, then good. You know, he doesn't have a pawn on e4 anymore. It's a mistake to just give him this pawn for nothing. You chip away at his center. If you go here and he takes, he loses his bastion on e4. If he doesn't take, fine. You're going to take at some point on e4. Why give him an extra pawn for nothing? This is a huge mistake. Now it takes, and now you have no way to break his position. Maybe you should take with the bishop and actually like intend to play f5 later on. Alright. Welcome back. So, where is everybody? Thank you guys for your kind gifts bestowed upon us. So Astrobate pawn breaks. If you play this, you still have f5. When you play this, you enhance your pieces, but you don't have a pawn break anymore. Only g5, g4. One last pawn break. He just traded off, losing the file. You would have gotten it anyway. I mean, objectively, you're probably winning here, you know, because he's so far behind in development. Knight h3, and then bishop f8. Yeah, bishop f8 is good, but not great. You should have been thinking about that bishop a long time ago. This should have been like one of the first things you considered. Bishop out to h6. Alright. You got the bishop back to f8. It's not bad, but not great. This is also okay. White has some play with f4, maybe. F4. I mean, dude's got to fight for the freaking whites, dark squares here. I mean, with F4, it seems like he still has some chance. This looks really ugly. Letting you play like bishop F4, bishop E3, and that's what he did. Exactly. Ultra passive, king F1, queen H4, knight H3, E5, threatening bishop takes. I love the final position. Even though it wasn't a great game, you get like full credit for this. Amusing takes. Queen takes H3. This is a beautiful mate. I suddenly had this like creeping feeling though. Alright, you're okay because queen takes C3. Yeah, queen takes C3, pawn takes. Pawn takes. You have two ways to win. Bishop takes check, king E1, and then C2 with unpreventable C1 queen. Or you can just immediately push the pawn. Yeah, he has no way to save the game. So he traded queens into a piece down position. Dude, just trade queens here. I mean, this is, I tell you all the time, don't let him keep the queens on the board if there's like a 1% chance you can lose. Absolutely you should trade queens here. Queens on the board increases the chance of a blunder very, very highly. Queen E7, and then he mated himself with bishop H3. Okay, that's pretty funny. Chess Gore. Did you notice how your stream title display on Lichess main page? No. What? I don't understand. What's the problem? It just sounds weird? Am I missing something? What's wrong? Yeah, it looks different from my side. I don't want to know. I mean, I don't like the wording anyway. Yeah. Well, I always have to be careful when like Bob is watching the stream. You can't see the word analysis without his mind going in the gutter. But I didn't like the layout of the whole thing in the first place. Let me just change it. It sounds corny. Like focuses on the I could just shorten it up. I should just shorten it up anyway. It wasn't the best stream title. I got really, really bad lag thanks to Streamlabs. If you don't pay for Prime, I guess it screws you over. I am sludgy. Let's try to keep it simple. Problem is I'm Sparkle Horse and sludgy. Does it say? I am sludgy. It's weird how it says that. It's like the I am is from Lichess and the sludgy's from Twitch. Alright, but I really don't think it's a big deal. Not something we really... The art of anal. That makes Bob happy. Nothing I can do for people's who's... people's... Well, I'm going to get more viewers thinking I'm going to be talking about Hans. First of all. But nothing I can do about those of you with your minds in the gutter. Hopeless is hopeless. But I'm always careful with my anal beads. It's very trendy now. Chess and anal beads. I'm surprised I don't have 100 viewers. I've got terrible lag because of Streamlabs. It's just gross. Maybe I'll just get a different streaming software. It just slows down everything. Or just a different computer. I've got another computer actually. Maybe I should set it up. This laptop is just too weak to be streaming with. Alright. We got Big Dummy up next. That's a good idea, Chescudo. What did I just do? I was just in the freaking study. I went out of it. It's got to be Streamlabs. It's the only intensive application I have running. I tried to click on Big Dummy's game. Hello, there it is. Alright. Big Dummy. It's hot in here. Take it off. Take it off, bro. Alright, we're gonna take it off. Taking it off. Too hot in here. Getting hot in the analysis stream. So, oh yes, the London system. Thank you for sharing. All right, no, it's a bishop f4. Hybrid. Roman used to play this a lot with white. Roman and Angelo Young. But they would always play knight c3, castles, and then bishop f4. I think that's a more balanced development for white. To be honest, as much as I hate the London, I mean, this is closely related to the Smyslov system with bishop g5. OBS is really, like normal OBS without Streamlabs is probably better. I don't think it's as much of a, performance hog as the OBS Streamlabs. I need to tune this up. But anyway, bishop f4, I've faced this on occasion. There probably is some way to take advantage of the fact that this diagonal, there's no knight on c3. He's playing this bishop move too early. Or he's playing the London and then playing c4 sort of suddenly out of the blue. Right-click the preview and select performance mode. Don't do this to me now. I'll check it out later. Alright, so c5. I think c5 is a problem. No? Yeah, that's a good idea. But seriously, I don't know what your normal approach is against this type of system, but the misordered moves with bishop f4, you smack him with c5 here. This is not your, your dad's Republican Party. I mean, your dad's Benoni, right? It's not the Benoni. I mean, white doesn't have a knight on c3, so I think he's got a serious problem here after c5. I mean, that's the thing about the setup for black, right? When you play g6, knight f6 against the London or whatever, like, you can do castles and play the King's Indian, you can play c5 and play the Benoni, and you can play d5 and play the Grunfeld. You got three options, three ways to play a kingside fianchetto setup: the Benoni, Grunfeld, King's Indian. Pick, the one that's most appropriate to the situation. Be able to play all three, I think that's the important thing. Any move is okay here, you can do anything you want, but this move actually looks problematic for white. Taking is not good. Knight c3 looks lame. And, if you're lucky, if you're really lucky, right, what can possibly happen? Acerbate's favorite trap. If you play c5, you might get the occasional player who plays g3, dubious, pawn takes pawn, knight takes d4, and then, of course, our favorite e5, winning a piece. e5, bishop takes e5, queen a5 check, right? Everyone's favorite tactic in the London. So let's give those... Yeah, normally these guys will just do e3. But I think we have something here. This is not a London, and it's not a King's Indian. There's something not quite right about white's setup. So I think your job is to figure out, how to take advantage of this. Queen b6 looks totally plausible. Hebden did that against me in a bishop g5. I'm sure that queen b6 is a good move. And this is very efficient. You haven't even wasted time with d6. I mean, this is like a transition to a bishop f4. A good bishop f4 Grunfeld, probably. I mean, seriously, what is white going to play there? Knight c3? This doesn't look great for white. Pawn takes pawn. And if white plays this, you get my first game ever. My first game or my second game against Alexander Ivanov, where I was white and lost like a bunny. Like a Tarash, I'm playing what's his name? Zukertort with the bishop on f4. Let me just say, a match between Zukertort and Alexander Ivanov would not have gone well for Zukertort. But I mean, he can get away with bishop f4 probably against an old Steinitz. But yeah, no, we got a various ways we can do this. But castle's okay. You're letting him catch up. Now this is another bad move. Now I'm definitely playing c5. It's even stronger now. Because again, he doesn't have this, right? I mean, you're all over him here. You've got b5. You might have knight e4, for example. I mean, what does he do against that? You can always turn it into a Dutch with f5 if you're worried about your knight on e4. So h3 is really bad. I mean, again, the Grunfeld is probably good here too, but he'll just play e3, and then you blast him with c5. And obviously, cd5, knight takes. Yeah, maybe Zukertort isn't that bad here, but it's not great either. But I like the c5. So I think this is clearly strongest. What you really want. Actually, he's walking right into it here. Those London guys are just gonna let you take their central pawn out. Now you're already equal, and you're playing for an advantage here. d5 equalizes minimum, and you can try for more. So I think this is just okay. c5 is even better. Now e3, but now now you should be as Emery Tate would say, taken to the what was it? He used to talk about the shed, something like that. We don't know what happened in the shed. I don't want to know, but dude, you gotta play c5. You gotta play c5 here. I mean, this is Grunfeld. It's the most important concept in the Grunfeld. And there's just no reason not to play it. I mean, if CD5, maybe CD4. You have so many possibilities. This is just lame. You just like transpose into like a good Schlechter Slav for white by playing c6. This is seriously a terrible move. Not terrible like you're clearly worse, but terrible like you gave away a better position to be slightly worse. I think after c5 black is better. I mean, h3 is too slow. Yeah. It's too slow. He's playing c4, h3, bishop f4. I mean, c5 is strong. I mean, normally in the bishop f4 Grunfeld, he takes on c5, but here he has a problem, right? I mean, you have knight e4. I mean, maybe he can get away with this. Maybe. Maybe we don't play knight e4. We develop our pieces instead. I mean, the idea for black... Okay, you don't have bishop g4. The idea for black... Botvinnik... Think about Botvinnik. Knight a6, maybe? You're basically playing, like, the Catalan. This looks kind of lame. I still like black here. I mean, everything's good. Takes. You're slightly better. Alright, this is bad. And now it's literally a Schlechter Slav, where the bishop got outside the pawn chain to f4, and white has a decent game. Yeah, I mean, this, if you, yeah, he's good here. Now I don't know what to do. You can play bishop f5, you can play maybe e6. e6 looks ugly, but the idea would be to recapture with the e-pawn, like in a Grunfeld. I don't know. I don't love it. I mean, honestly, man, it's okay. You know, all the like videos are saved on Twitch and YouTube, so if you have to go Tetalita, it's fine. You might even play the freaking Grunfeld down a tempo here. This is literally a position. You can play c5 down a move and have an okay game. Unbelievable. I guess bishop e6 is a good idea. I think now, you know, he's got a slight edge. Again, you have a chance to play e6 though. I'm not sure I like queen b3 for white. Notice not a single master played queen b3. Botvinnik says e6. Alyakin says e6 probably. We might have other tries. This is an exchange, like a good exchange Slav for white. That's what you should do. Now you have e6, possibly d takes c. I think e6 with the idea of b6 and like bishop e7. Yeah, e6 transposes to an Alterman game. Against Tibor, my favorite prolific author. Alright, this is also interesting but strategically kind of dubious, you know. I don't trust this. Unless we can get in c5 somehow. It would be nice if we could get it in, but I don't see us getting it in. If you promise I can play c5. Karen Gregorian here winning against 2400. Yeah, I mean, white's still better. This is like one. That's like 0.8 pawns, literally. It's pretty instructive. White is better by like 0.8 because of the pawn on d4. I like e6, but white is better. Mises. So white should take on d5, I would think. This isn't a problem, man. I mean, that's a normal thing. Only white can be better here with the c file and the bishop on f4. He should probably just exchange or keep the tension. Maybe this is good too. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of c5. I think you could consider queen d8. Your main idea is to play for e5 here, possibly knight e4. But I'm concerned now about the b4, b5. How do you stop that? You gotta play like knight e4. Do you have time for this? It's like queen c2 Slav with the queens off the board. I've had positions like this for white. I mean, it's very close to a transposition. b4, and if a6, b5, and you're just rolling. White's rolling. There's a game here with knight h5, but I mean, the knight is like gross. What is that knight doing? We can't get an e5, we're screwed. g4. Hasta la vista. So black has some serious problems. I think you need to play queen d8. Seriously. Alright, let's see if there is a way. I just don't see it. Rook e8. I mean, bishop h2. How are you going to get e5 in? Again, knight e4. Maybe threatening e5 here. But that pawn is in danger of species list. Takes here, knight here. You get an e5. You might be able to get it in, just barely. But I don't trust black's position. Okay, so it looks like you're in trouble. I mean, this is a huge problem. b6, b4, bishop e7, and wow. There's also bishop a6. I mean, white has a big advantage. I'm not really sure that knight e5 helps white a lot. So I think here, white needs to find something. I was seriously thinking about this. How do you answer this? You have to take. He takes with the rook. Now this is a huge problem. You can't play b5. If you take, the pawn is weak. He controls this diagonal. Like, what's white's advantage here? Almost +2. Yeah, you're in deep shit here after bishop a6. Okay, this was a fast game. It was like a blitz game. But white just made a routine move, and then a5. Takes. And now he helped you, in a way, because e5 is a threat. And suddenly, like, black is ahead in development. And now you just can't take here because the a pawn's dangerous, or what? You might even think about e5. You seriously have to wonder about e5. You can take back here. And you're going to punch through with e5 anyway. So I think that black has chances. But I guess this is good. This is very dangerous, though, this outside pawn. Wow. Just recapture. He has rook takes d4, but you just take back. Takes on b7. Check. What's going on here? Rook takes d4. Pawn takes f4. Pawn takes d4. Pawn takes b7. There's a couple checks. This is a rook e8 check. That looks kind of problematic. I suppose black's probably winning. But it's not so simple. Wow, you have to play bishop takes a6. Okay, and those pieces are forked. Yeah, it doesn't save him. So if pawn takes b7, what's happening? Pawn takes b7, rook takes a4, pawn a4, knight a4. I mean, are we doing this? 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 We'll scoop the pawn eventually. And we're probably winning. Probably. But for example, like, I don't know, b4. It's a little bit murky. It's still not 100% clear. This was a sloppy game. It was a blitz game. Definitely not a one-way street. He totally had to play pawn takes b7. I mean, that was his last chance. And now he's just down 2 pawns. Game over. It looks like at the end, it looks like white got crushed, but I think in reality it was anything but white getting crushed. You look good at the end, but I think there's a lot of improvement in that game. Alright. On to Sumaher. He's not here. Schumacher is white. Thanks everyone for joining us. Move 11 for your kind gift. You're still with us. Yeah, rook a1 check. This is Schumacher versus Le Fleur, and this is a blitz game. So Benoni, Benko, Budapest, Blumenfeld. It's a B, Benko. Okay, I don't know who this is playing black. They have a French sounding name. Volga. No, Volga's been cancelled. We no longer use Russian names for the openings in the West. It's called the Benko. We only call it the Benko. On this side of the Volga. No more calling it Volga. I know the Germans probably still call it the Volga, but I think it should be cancelled. So, okay, c takes b5, a6, takes, and this is really like the critical test, it seems like. If you ask me why people aren't playing the Benko, it's probably the main line. That's the biggest problem. I always thought there are some kind of funny sidelines for white, like f4. But interesting, yeah, Jakob Muri, I was trying to remember his name the other day. In Volha. It sounds like flea in Hungarian, which is Bolha. Of course, in Hungarian, you know, we refer to it as the Benko. The Hungarians are proud to have a Hungarian, you know, who this opening is named after. But I think the Germans dominated the world in chess literature for a long time in Europe, and all the opening books that I recall, the Germans use Volga Gambit. Obviously, like East Germany was part of the Russian chess scene, but we should change it. No one in the West calls it Volga Gambit ever. Okay, G6. I think this F4 is kind of fun. Now, I was trying to remember Jakob Murray. He's got a lot of creative ideas. He's got to be up there now. I haven't heard much about him. He's still alive. I think he lives, I don't know, in France or Israel. I don't even know. Alright, but anyway, F4 is not safe. E4, bishop takes F1. Oh, I should mention something else. Right. G6, knight C3, bishop G7. Is it better to play bishop G7, E4, and queen A5? There's been problems with the Benko Gambit. There's problems, officer. So when you see a modern player like Wayne Jones in the database here, some others, no big names. I mean, none of the top players play the Benko. But I think I played this before. Let's see. Player, Sparklehorse is black. I had a game against Sandrina. I had a game against, I don't know when the Benko Gambit got its Germanic Russian name, but not sure when that happened, Asterbait. You could research it. Queen A5 is interesting. Bishop D2. This looks like one of the better tries. I've looked at it with the engine. Castle. Literally, like, black's chances are as good or better than in the main line with this early, like, queen A5 idea. Anyways, E4, bishop F1, king F1, D6. Now, the main line is knight F3 first. I don't have a clue if there's anything wrong with G3 immediately. I don't believe so. Move orders, a lot of different move orders. I don't think there's anything wrong here. Okay, so you're looking at maybe not playing knight F3. But I don't see the advantage in that. I mean, the knight on F3 is a good piece. It controls the E5 square. Castles, knight F3, knight on BD7, now H3. Stopping knight G4, I think, is probably the best line. But let's think about this move forward 41. Move forward 41. The score here is unbelievable. If you look at the database, sorry. Maybe this is the move that's the problem. A4. White's score is ridiculous. It's a kind of ugly move because it looks like, oh, our pawn is backwards. Let's see the recent games. So versus Le Quang, draw, 2021. So there's nothing happening here. Fedoseev versus crazy Timur Gariev. Wonder where they played. Like, seriously, where did Fedoseev play Timur Gariev in 2021? It's not like Timur Gariev goes running around. Did Fedoseev go to the United States? That's weird. I mean, no top players played the Benko. But let's see. So Quang Liem. I mean, this should be cutting edge. If you insert this game. Quang played rook a6, which is a plan I've used a lot. I mean, queen a8 here. If this is like the best that black has, rook b8, literally. Only 2 games, and they're both... Oh, so he prepared? That's insane. Who is Lei Kwang Kim? That's weird. The Kwang has like a sister? I didn't know that. When we played, he always had like a towel. So the engine doesn't like either of these moves that have been played. Unless he played a weird move like rook d1. That seems a bit strange. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to like analyze the whole Banco gambit. But at least we know like what the best answer is. Probably a4, rook a6 with the classic plan of queen a8. According to Quang Liem, no one over 2700 plays the Banco anymore. So rook e1. Now you have knight g4. I think you should normally play h3. Here rook a6 anyway. And now rook e1. Now queen a8. And this is probably an important line as well. Bishop g5. Karpov play like this? There's some old games. Korchnoi, Belyavsky, Korchnoi, The Computer. I mean Sebastian Feller, sorry. Okay. Yeah, that's not sure that black can equalize there either. Queen a5 was the traditional move. Rook e1. You end up putting the queen on a6 anyway. Queen a6 usually. Rook fb8. Oh, e5. Huh. How's this variation doing? a4. Transposing. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe it's not so bad for black. Alright, anyways, we'll see what happened here. This is a blitz game. Castles, knight f3, knight wd7, rook e1. Yeah. So this is interesting. Queen b6. But I mean, my question is, like, why not knight g4? Sumaher must be prepared for that. Maybe knight g4 isn't so great. It doesn't develop a piece. Let's see what the engine says. At the end of the day, knight g4, queen e2 sort of dominates the knight. You play knight in g to e5, white plays knight d2, black plays knight b6. Let me see if I've had this position against Sumaher. No. Maybe I've never played the Banco against him, that's weird. I faced a4 twice. Oh, I do have a game. Oh, interesting, he played a4 against me. That's funny. So he played a4 against me, but against this guy, he decided to play rook e1. And his opponent didn't play knight g4. Okay. So if you don't go to g4, white can cut you out. But he played a4 now, rook fb8, and then bam, knight b5. Gotta consider the queen sack. David Bronstein would like it. Takes and takes. I doubt that's going to be enough. Let's check. It's unsound. But you always got to consider your options. So he goes back to e8 to hit this guy. And there goes knight c7. Yeah, so I'm not like thrilled about this for white. Knight c7, queen c7. You got play along the b file. Rook b4, kind of standard. Yeah. Black has good counterplay. I mean, it looks like you have to play b3 here. What other move would you play? See what happened next. Acerbate. Now in this game, with 1 minute each, Sumaher just like hung his b-pawn with tempo. Yeah, I mean, I vote for b3. And we're trying to hang on to some advantage here. This is just bad. Black is absolutely okay after this. And now it just becomes like a bullet game. Is c4 a move? Obviously black has protected passer on c5, so he doesn't want to play c4 unless he's sure about it. He just goes for an exchange. And now the bishop gets traded off. We've got an e5 break. Yeah, I mean, maybe black was a little lazy here. This move... I'm just not sure like where the queen goes after that. What does the cow say? Where does the queen go? It has to go to e3. For lack of better square. I don't know, I have a weird feeling about this. This is winning for black, holy shit. Wow, so he has rook c1. Black's just better. Takes, takes. Knight c5. Interesting. Yeah, I thought about that. But black didn't want to take a chance on c4, and he was lazy. And he went into this. White's threatening to break with e5. You gotta consider f6 here. Like, seriously. f6. You don't want white playing e5. But rook b8 is really weird. Like, hello, that's an a-pawn. I mean, I like where my rooks are. Okay, your rook has to move. So rook b4. It's a no-brainer. You're threatening the pawn. He has e5 now. Oof. But you're fine, you're fine. Takes, takes, queen takes, rook takes, and white is down a pawn. We can't play it. We can't play e5. Rook b4 is good. This is dumb. I mean, he's got no threat, and the a-pawn now, you know, his rook is not stopping it. So now he blockades with the queen. Total panic from the IM. And then this is just like absolute cheapo. Yeah, I would assume you probably shouldn't necessarily play queen e3. The rook ending might be a draw. Maybe you should play rook e3. I actually like rook e3. I'm not sure if white's winning, but I had the feeling like black can hold here. Hey, that's a good idea. Rook a8 never should have left the a file. And now it's a draw. So black can make a draw. It's like, you can make a draw with rook b6 and you don't do it. Now you have a second chance to make a draw with rook b7 and you don't do it. And now you're trying to lose basically. And now you take the draw. And now it's a draw. Yeah, that's risky. I think you should just trade rooks and it's a draw. Black's trying to win again. Whoops. Yeah, okay, it's a blitz game. It's a bullet game. And then black mated himself. Wow. He was hoping for king g5. Yeah, this is silly, like, bullet stuff now. I wouldn't be surprised if black's holding on here. It's really close, though. It's probably too slow. You gotta take now. Could White have gotten the rook behind the pawn? How? Instead of what? No. I wonder here. Should we play King G4 right away? D7 takes, King takes. I think these pawns are too slow. White's winning. So let's see. So this is the only try. Here. You gotta take. You gotta take now. Take now. Forever hold your peace. It's too slow, right? G5. It's too slow. Yeah, it's too slow. There's no saving this ending. I can't believe Sumahar played King D8. Maybe he has to? Are you serious? Wait. You can't go here. Aha. Maybe it's not a bad move, King D8. Are we definitely winning? Yeah, actually, maybe you should just play Rook C6 and take that pawn on G6 with check, man. So this was the game. He played Rook D6. He could have taken here with check. I think it's probably a good idea to take that first. Just be on the safe side. IVYM, welcome. It's a blitz game, man. They had no time left. And it's just over. Okay. Alright, guys. It was a messy kind of blitz game. I prefer when you guys submit longer games. Okay, what do we got left? Mule Skinner. Alright, Mule Skinner. Mule Skinner's not here, so let's just do this Tetalita game first. Tetalita, new viewer from Czechia. Alright. Yeah, you're still here. So I'm going to do your game first. You were thinking of King B7 instead of King D8. Rook B2 check, King C6, and if Rook B8, King C7. Rook B8, King C7. If King B7, Rook King C6, and if Rook B8, King C7. But I mean, are we too far away there? Like, White has Rook B8, King C7, Rook. Oh, I see. You have tricks. Yeah, maybe move 11. It's better. It's maybe better. That's not the game? What I sent you? Oh, let me check. I was White and it was over the board game. Well, we'll just look at it directly from your study here. Yeah, I don't know what that... What is that game? Was that another player? Oh, that's Saiku Chess. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Saiku Chess. Right. Alright. Where is he? I forgot. We couldn't put your game in. Alright, so we're looking at White here. Yeah, that was Chess Kudo. Sorry. I forgot about Chess Kudo. Okay, so D4, E6, Knight F3. I mean, Black playing B6 here allows the Owen defense. You know, which is a major... The English defense is one thing, the French defense is another thing, but the Owen defense is inferior. However, your knight is already on f3, so you can't play like the best variation against the Owen. Basically, if you play e4, he plays bishop b7. If you play knight c3, this line for black isn't that bad. Magnus has actually played this. And what's the deal with bishop d3? It looks like we'll have to ask Christian Bauer. Yeah, I guess c5. Karpov Miles, of course, was something like d c5. No, that was St. George. My bad. This is the Owen defense, similar but not the same. So c3. We're gonna transpose to a pretty normal Owen here. Anyway, all right. So whatever. Objectively, e4 is white's best move. But if you don't play e4, you don't play e4. Okay, c4 transposes to a Queen's Indian or English defense. He plays knight f6 transposing the Queen's Indian. There's nothing else black can really do. You can play the hippo, you know, but it's not a great hippo. Bishop e4 check is like a hybrid. And f5 is a bad Bird Larson reversed down a tempo. Yeah, there's no bishop a6. You haven't played g3 yet. Bishop a6 isn't great. So, yeah, basically black has only knight f6 or bishop b7. Maybe it's better to play bishop b7. It would keep your options more open for black. I think that's why more people play bishop b7. If white makes a passive move, like maybe we turn it into a Nimzo, or if white doesn't play, I think this is a better move order for black. Alright, so knight f6, g3. Now obviously he can play any variation. Bishop b7, bishop g2, bishop e7, castles. Now castles. Now knight c3. And your opponent played the main line, which I played a lot. You know, the other variations, d5 Spassky played, it's not bad. It's not great. It has a bad reputation, but it's really just a kind of Catalan. I find it difficult to get an advantage with white against this. It's not so easy. And the other line that's interesting for black is Karpov's old knight a6, which Chernyshov played against me. I have a bad score with this. I lost against Chernyshov. I lost against Medvedzoly. I'm 0-2 against this defense with white. It's kind of embarrassing. Look at the statistics, though. You know, knight a6. Black has a plus score in 418 games. And that's why Chernyshov plays it. I mean, you know, this is weird, but it's not really easy to say like what white should do. I think if you play the Queen's Indian, like this is probably your best chance for playing for a win. Knight e4, and now bishop d2 is very popular. That's obviously queen c2 is the main line. What else was I gonna say? You know, the computer AlphaZero is playing the gambit. Polygievsky's gambit with d5 is playable. I analyze this a lot, but it seems like black is okay, but it's still not easy to play over the board. Okay, so you played the ending. Bishop takes e4, knight e1. I lost to Keith Arkell in this with black. Here's an interesting move that Win Trongson wasn't here. He played f5 against Faragu Ivan. Yeah, the game's in there. This is a funny move that very few people know about. Maybe f5. Maybe f5 is seriously... Like, he was trying to win with black. Like, Farago just wanted to draw. You know, and this guy had to make his GM norm. So I think that Ivan was just trying to draw with white, and black was actually playing for a win with f5. And black hasn't lost a single game here. But I don't know if there's a reason why maybe knight h4 is better. Can you play f5 the same here? Here, it's also working. Bishop takes e4. Pawn takes e4 and knight g2. This actually goes back to Portish Christensen. Wow, 1981. So maybe Larry was the first person to play this against Portish and he beat him. Holy shit. 1981. That must have been in, like, God knows what tournament that was. To beat Portish in this line, wow. That's unbelievable. So, f5. Yeah, I guess this is the best way to play for a win if you have to with black. Bishop g2, knight g2, and then d5, which is standard. Now you're supposed to play... I mean, everyone I faced has played queen a4 against me. I have like 6 games in this, and they're all draws except for the loss against Arkell. And I can't remember what I played against Arkell. I know we traded queens. I don't remember, because I played this, and I've played queen e8 with black. But you know, there's an interesting move here. D takes c4, queen takes c4, and c5. D takes c5, bishop takes c5, bishop e3. Yeah, Vaganyan versus Karpov, 1989. Almost every game is a draw. But it's possible that White has some kind of imperceptible advantage. Portish Karpov, 1991. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's the simplest way for black to play, to clarify the center. So your opponent played... Okay, you played c takes d5 immediately. So I actually... I don't remember, you know... Possibly that's what Arkell played, but no, we traded queens. No, I've never faced this. So black wants to play c5 to equalize the game. If I play this, I can't equalize the game as easily. It's more dynamic. But if I play queen takes d5, you know, my plan is to play c5 and destroy your pawn on d4. So let's see. Knight f4, queen b7. Threatening c5, maybe. Bishop e3. And then presumably rook d8. Let's see what the computer says. Rook d8. It's Petrosian. Petrosian Tal 1976. Petrosian doesn't take any chances. Okay, so that's probably what black should do. Take with the queen. Your opponent took with the pawn? No, he took with the queen. And you played bishop f4. This is another variation. I mean, so this way, if you play c5, your take... I would play c5. Putian, Sakis. D takes c5. Queen takes d1. Rook takes d1. Bishop takes c5. I mean, Putian learned from Petrosian, I guess. Tiny advantage, but not enough to win. But it looks like bishop f6 is the best move. Wow. Jabava. Surprisingly, black is better. After e3, your bishop can get trapped. There's some weaknesses on the light squares. And the queens are still on the board. Yeah, so I mean, it looks pretty clear that if you're going to play this variation, you should play knight f4. Knight f4. You can also play this. This is an interesting move. Queen e4, queen d3. But queen b7 and bishop e3. Rook d8. Here's a game from 2015. Eric LeBron. My God, playing this with white in 2019. What is Eric LeBron come to? He's turning into Fargo Ivan. Alright. Queen a4. Knight d7. This is watching the grass grow. It's very boring. Knight d7. Arco loves it. Knight d3. c5. D takes c5. Knight takes c5. Knight takes c5. Bishop takes c5. Bishop takes c5. Pawn takes c5. And white has a better structure. But it's still a draw. Unless you're playing Keith Arkle, maybe. Alright, but it looks like this is not as good. Not as good. Leaving the queen on the powerful square. So knight c6 is a mistake. He doesn't deal with the backward pawn. Maybe it's not a mistake. He's going to take d4. So e3. g5. Bishop takes c7. Wow. The bishop is trapped. So this knight c6 is not a joke. Wow. So knight c6 is actually a good move. It's counterintuitive to block the pawn. But it's further evidence that like bishop f4 is no good. This is actually probably better to overprotect d4. So this is an illusion, attacking the pawn on c7. And now black blunders with knight a5. There's a couple games here, and I don't know, I think these must be correspondence games. I'm not sure. I'd be surprised if at least one of them isn't a correspondence game. Rook c1. Black can play g5. Did play g5. Correspondence player, of course, likely to play g5. And draw agreed. Oh. So g5 draw. That's a weird moment to offer a draw. g5, knight e3, queen e4. Bishop e5. It looks like white is worse. Very strange moment to offer draw. Maybe it was an over the board game. Or g5, bishop e5. That's ugly as well. So g5 is a strong move. Your opponent plays knight a5, like totally out of his mind. Unprincipled. That's crazy. So he's actually better after g5. Yeah, but I think like next time, if you want to continue to play this variation, I mean, clearly knight f4 is better. There's some chance of winning and like no chance of losing here. This is awkward. Bishop f4, knight c6, rook c1, and then bam, g5. Yeah, black just has to have the courage to play that. By the way, like what happens if you play bishop e3? Rook f d8, threatening the d4 pawn. And you just can't protect it. Queen a4, we're just taking it. Your central pawn is gone. Bishop takes d4, queen d4, rook d4, and is coming down here. So rook c7, bishop f8. The knight is kind of dominated by the pawn on g5. Black's threatening to the 7th. So black is fine. This was a huge blunder. Putting his knight on the side of the board, blundering a pawn. Yeah. Now he plays g5. Yeah, this is totally crazy. Takes, knight takes. We're losing this pawn, though. I don't really like losing the d4 pawn. Yeah, this is insane. I mean, black has a choice between the d4 pawn and the pawn on a5. And he takes the pawn on a5. Seriously. I mean, wow. I wonder if you could play e3 almost. It's not so easy. So knight takes f4. Why not this? Yeah, next time, I agree. The pawn sacrifice is very interesting with d5 too. The Plugevsky sacrifice. It's sound. It's actually sound. I don't understand. What about queen takes d4? I wonder why black's rejecting this. I mean, I don't think, like, white is in any danger of losing. This position. But I really, honestly, can't really say, like, white is going to win either, you know. This pawn, man. This pawn on a2 is very weak. It feels like black eventually will force an exchange of that pawn. I feel like he should definitely have taken the d4 pawn. So he takes this. And see, the problem is, like, his bishop's kind of shut down, right? e3. And there's also the queen g4. Now his king becomes an issue. I mean, seriously, if he could trade queens, can we avoid an exchange of queens? Like queen b3 or something? Maybe you should seriously avoid the exchange of queens. Queen b3. If he takes here, whatever, we have rook c4. And, you know, he has doubled pawns, but we can attack his king with knight h5, the rook over, the queen over here. Queen and knight is a good combination. I'm very curious about this position. Wow, a6. That's a surprising move. a6 is nasty too. Wow. So in that ending, that pawn remains on the board. Very strong. I didn't see it. The computer recommends this. Another way of keeping the queens on. Queen c2. That's a nasty threat. You're threatening knight takes e6. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. That's weird. I just had deja vu of that tactic with knight takes e6. I didn't see it till now. Yeah, don't trade into this ending. It's not that clear. a6 I missed. So he plays queen takes a5. Now his king is endangered. You're threatening queen g4 check. Queen h5. If he plays queen takes a2, his queen is out of play. So he doesn't. So queen g4 check. He has queen g5. And I don't really want to trade queens. But I can if I have to. Queen takes, bishop takes, rook c1. Rook takes c8, and rook takes c. You're up a pawn in an endgame. You have good winning chances here. You know, his bishop isn't great. It's not better than your knight, and you've got the file. and rook on the 7th. So, I mean, centralizing with your king side 5 on 3. Probably black, can take this and go into the ending. But I would imagine you have extremely high winning chances here. Looks good. So he plays this, you played this, and d5. Cuts off his queen with the threat of queen g4 here. Yeah, I think not trading queens is a good idea. He took the pawn, but I think he's lost. He's lost. I mean, the king's safety. You could play anything now. Just pawn takes pawn is good. Yeah, and then wow. Tactic with 96. I mean, I think you're winning anyway. These pawns are too far away, and the queen and knight is too strong. Yeah. Be nice to get the rook in the game. Feels like you messed up here. Objectively, it feels like you should get the rook in the game. So maybe instead of the fancy tactic here with knight takes e6, the better move is actually taking pawn takes pawn, because you're guaranteed to get your rook in. And the third piece is like decisive. So what's he gonna do? He has to play pawn takes pawn. Then you play rook d1, and you're on this, and you're threatening to invade down here. I don't think there's any counterplay or chance for black to survive. Objectively, this has to be winning. Yeah. So this is like where you need to improve. It looks like the player like kind of made it complicated. At this point now, it's like really hard to get your rook into the game, and suddenly he has almost like some threats. This rook, what do I do with the rook? Yeah, I don't like this. Possible his outside pawn could come down, but he made a strange move here. Okay, I see this. So he can't take. You're just mating him. That's nice. And now you're threatening queen b8 and knight f5. You're probably winning no matter what. Yeah. Now it's just too much. Alright, good game. Yeah, the opening needs to be improved. Alright, last game, we've got... Yeah, I don't think anyone seriously trying to win should be playing that line for white. Unless your name is Keith Arkle and you specialize in endgames. That variation is exclusively reserved for playing for a draw. But if you're black, black should play the Win Christensen system with f5. Alright. So where's my last game? Thanks everybody for tuning in tonight. We'll be back tomorrow with rapid challenges. My studies. Rapid challenges Friday. Fast rapid 7 plus 5. It's good to have a beer, guys, and just chill out and relax. Analyze some chess here. Thank you for the almost hype train and donation from Move 11. Where is our last game? No, it's not our last game. We have Mule Skinner, right? I have 2 games remaining. Okay, let's make sure we get this right. We have 2 games remaining. This is the French. They're both Frenches. Wow. No, this is a Caro-Kann. Alright. French Caro-Kann. Alright, this is Chess Kudo with black, presumably. e4, c6, d4, d5, knight c3, d takes c4, knight takes e4, and yeah. Knight f6 is strong. I mean, it's I think it's on pace to like it could be on pace to overtake bishop f5. I find it very irritating to play against this. Obviously, like G takes F, I tried to play. It's not very good. It's playable, but it's like, don't play this opening with black against a good player. It's okay for beating maybe like weak players, but you don't want to play the Bronstein-Larsen with black against strong players unless you're prepared to lose. E takes is rock solid, and I don't see how white gets a freaking advantage. But okay, I tried knight c3 playfully in some games. You know, it's not that bad. I mean, if you really just want to play chess, Pigzilla played it in 1980. But all right, little Raphael Leitao joke. So knight g3, this is classic. So I guess this is being like re-explored. Initially, knight g3 was frowned upon. Black has two good responses. I mean, h5, the aggressive move, and g6, kind of the more solid approach. Karpov, Larsen, you can see 1979. Great idea playing this against Karpov. You know, but it's interesting, Karpov played knight g3. Jonathan Spielman, Larsen, all the great Carol Kahn lovers of the world. So h5, though, at that time, I'm not sure h5 was given as much credit as it is now. h5 was the main line, whereas it was like experimental in 1979. Okay, h4. And now this is interesting. Although I'm not sure the computer gives white anything here. Gives white a negative value. At the end of the day, that's why no strong players play knight g3. But Karpov didn't have computers back in 1979. He figured it was worth the risk to play it against Larsen. So it looks like both g6 and bishop g4 are good. Asterbait, what's up, great Lazarus? Asterbait, this is like Asterbait, trading off the opponent's bad bishop. No, I'm just kidding. This is not really a bad bishop. White's central pawn is on d4. So, I mean, bishop e2, it's not a bad result for black. If these bishops get exchanged, ultimately that's black's bad bishop. Much better than Asterbait's bishop g4. I mean, obviously, like, f3 is dicey. White has a lot of weaknesses in the position. Bishop e2 way safer. Queen d3 also looks reasonable. I don't see a problem with queen d3. But I mean, there is a problem. I mean, ultimately, where are you going to put that? You know, are you going to put it on g2? Are you just never going to move it, or how is this going to work? So bishop e2. Exchanging pieces would kind of bring out white's horses. I mean, it's interesting. No one has played bishop takes e2. This guy's playing in the World Senior with me in the 50 group, Balia. He's a good player. He lost with this exchange on e2. But you're helping white to develop. Knight bd7 looks good. I mean, can we keep this bishop? Abdu Malik versus Nihal Sarin. Vladimir Kopian with black. I'm liking this. Can we keep the bishop and like put it on e6? Right? If we play e6, we don't have that option. Oh, we have queen f5 check, and queen takes f5. Totally forgot about that. So on knight on bd7, you can play f3, bishop f5. Sneaky. But I'm not sure you want to play it, you know. I mean, the knight on g3 is not really that great of a piece. So knight f5, queen a5 check, c3, queen takes f5. Pretty weird position, honestly. White is not clear where white's going to put his king. He has a nice bishop pair, but not really sure. So bishop g4, interesting. Bishop e2, e6. You didn't play it. Wow. So this is pretty interesting. You know, it makes you wonder, just, has anyone ever played bishop f5 just for kicks and giggles? It's probably not a very good move. Much better after f3. You induce the weaknesses first. The computer is going to say this is like hugely better for white. Probably. +2. Yeah, I mean, we have a problem with this b7 pawn. You don't want to just give up your bishops for nothing, right, Asterbate? Bishops are worth more than knights. I'm just saying I like that cute tactic in the Caro-Kann. No, g6 is also a move. Here, bishop e2. So this is a mistake. Bishop takes e2 is a mistake. White can't play queen takes because of the d pawn. Now e6. It's not a bad mistake for black, though. It's just not the most dynamic. So bishop g5. Bad bishop. I don't know. It makes sense. There's the king. Yeah, so this is an interesting position. Can we consider a different option for white, like bishop f4? Then, for example, queen b6. How do I defend this pawn at b2? That gives me an interesting idea. So he played bishop g5. Can't we play queen b6 here? Deep, huh? Okay, you're letting your pawn structure go, but where's the keep of Rubinstein? Is this really that bad? What would Bent Larsen and Bronstein say? And Bronstein would be like happy with this position. I don't know, man. Knight f4, b2's hanging. I'll give him my h5. Larsen will give up h5. Queen b6 looks like an interesting move. I actually am kind of doubtful about bishop g5, to be honest with you. I don't think that white should play bishop g5 right away. Maybe he should just play c3, something safe. Give him like queen b3 in case of queen b6. Cut out the queen a5 crap. You know? If bishop d6, white can play like bishop f4, trading off your good bishop. Trying to get to an endgame where maybe he has less weaknesses or something. Let's see what the computer says. Yeah. Bishop g5, number 1 move. c3, number 1 move. Castles, number 1 move. Castles. Yeah, this is interesting. What about bishop g5 engine? Queen b6. Uh-oh. So it's not bishop takes f6. Bishop f6 is bad, but you can sacrifice your b2 pawn. Wow. Castles. Take if you want to, but you're going to get destroyed by rook b1 or rook takes b7. Alright, so you didn't miss anything. I mean, knight on bd7 is a good move. This is a good move. Here, castles, queen c7, but it's not clear what this bishop on g5 really does. Aha. That's a little bit worrisome. You know, I'm not really liking d5 a lot. I know Chescudo likes to castle queenside. But c4 is a nice move by white. Therefore, he didn't play c3. Are we going to play like knight g4 at some point later? So you're castling into the pin here. Man, does white have d5 right away? Dude, seriously? Just humor me for a second here with d5. I mean, I know there's a queen on d1, but I'm a little bit scared about this. You know, this bishop here, we can't take with a knight. So what do? We take and we play like this, and we try to win that pawn. It's probably good enough. We're also threatening rook takes d5. It probably just holds. So queen a4. King b8. Ouch, that's a nice diagonal. Oof. And it's like you're playing Asterbait now because he played c5. Wow. This looks dangerous. I have mixed feelings about the way that Chesskudo played this. I think it's dangerous. What you're doing here is kind of dangerous. Did you see there was a game where the guy did like bishop e7? Castles. Well, knight h7 is weird. That's really extreme. Bishop takes e7, queen e7, knight h5, g6. But man, he got this h-file stuff. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just a risky way that Chesskudo's playing. This looks very, very risky. King b8, d5. Can I get a d5 now? Again, we have knight b6, like d5, takes, knight b6 hitting the queen, and forking d5. Maybe queen a4 isn't all as great as we thought. Maybe queen a4 is overrated. But it's not easy to say what white should do. I don't know. Just the oracle. Subtle moves. What's going with queen a4? Knight b6. Unbelievable. Queen a4, king b8. b4. Okay, this is logical b4. You got b5. I prefer white here. But I mean, this may be like a massive mistake. I don't know. Oh, you sacked the exchange? Wow. Wow. That is so crazy. I love it. You're going to take out the h-pawn? That's a really cool idea. He sacks the exchange and guaranteed to take h4. Yeah, white probably missed it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have played c5. He should have played b4 first. So this was a really nice resource. Takes. Now b4 is much slower. a6. Very patiently played. The question is, how much attack do we have and how fast is it here? Compared to us getting annihilated over here by the King's Indian Pawn Storm. Like, you need to have something pretty fast here. You've got knight f6, knight g4. But white has like f3. This is crazy. Knight c7. Yeah, I think you're in big trouble. It was a nice try. b5, bam. I thought you were going to play c takes, but it's like c takes, knight takes, c6. And white is in a lot of trouble. I mean black, sorry. So I don't know, man. You're in deep shit here. A takes, knight takes. Yeah, this is better than taking with a c pawn. You don't want to give him that c6, and you can always play like king over and knight b8 or something. He's not going to mate you so easily. You're going to have to rely on knight b8. Well, actually, king c7. Wow. And suddenly you've got h4. What? Wow. I mean, there's tactics with nothing here, huh? Alright. Can we play, pawn takes? Pawn takes g3. Knight takes b5. Queen somewhere. I mean, there's no problem, is there? Are we getting mated? Queen h5, rook a8 check, king takes, queen a4 check, king b8. Is this a problem? Queen a7 check, king c8. Do we have a problem, officer? Here, check, here. Good lord. Officer! Oh, officer. Oh my god. Knight check. Oh man, that's brutal. Knight check. Freaking knight check. Wow. So there's a really strong threat here for white. Rook a8 is a massive threat. Wow. So, wow. So there's no time for pawn takes pawn. He plays knight takes. Really, really nice shot. Takes. Bishop takes check. King f1. And now you take. Now the white king has e2 flight square. And white still has the mating threats. Or does he? Oh, you just take. Wow. Very nicely calculated. Queen c2 mate, anyone? There. I don't know. I mean, there may have been some saving resource for white. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Let's see, f3. This is a great try. So he blundered with knight c3. He has, this is a sensible move. I mean, knight e4 is a sensible move. Guarding the c5 against that shot. Now you play h3. It looks like you've got counterplay, but actually g4. And you're really running out of stuff. Yeah, so he was winning, but he wasn't up to the task. Alright, I think that you played in a very dangerous way. Overall, I feel like white's winning the race here. And objectively, you should probably not castle queenside into this kind of pawn storm. I once lost to Joel Benjamin in like 19 moves like that. Objectively, you should castle short, probably. But another thing is the g6. Like maybe objectively after h5, h4, this g6 is... It's more solid, Maybe this is just more solid, I don't know. Let's see what the engine says. Well, there's also like, and also we should say, actually for that matter, just g6 directly. I don't know. You should consider your other options. Alright, last game is Mule Skinner. The Skinner of Mules. Long-time player on the stream. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. You black in the advanced French. 90-30 over the board. Alright. Last one, boys and girls. Black in the old advanced French. At least it's not an exchange French. He said advanced French. Chapter 3. I feel like I'm reading an audiobook. Alright. e4, e6, d4, d5. Boom. I've been experimenting with offbeat moves. I don't play the French much, but I think if you want to confuse people, you should throw in some other lines, like b6. Not always play just the main line. Knight e7 is interesting. One student that I worked with for just like one lesson, who's a strong player, I remember he suggested this idea. Van Gagnon played this like quite a few times. So I think it's interesting to give people a different look. You know, sometimes to play the non-main lines. Everyone knows the main lines, but does anyone know what to do on like knight e7 or b6, for example? We should consider playing some sidelines. c5, knight f3. Mr. Coffee, what's up? Good to see you. Home from work? Or you're on your lunch break? Late lunch. So Muleskinner goes like fully mainline here with knight c6. Now, a lot of people will argue that his move order is inaccurate and he should play c3. I don't know. You know, after knight f3, pawn takes pawn. Well, he can play this gambit with bishop d3. I don't know what this is even called. Royce Donk. The Donk gambit. Okay. Royce Donk gambit. But I mean, technically speaking, like pawn takes pawn is a move there. Nothing wrong with knight c6. He plays bishop d3. So he's forcing the gambit on you. First of all, you know, if you take with a knight, he has to play a gambit with an exchange of pieces already in. So I would think like this would be kind of reasonable. He has to attack you and show compensation here with one piece exchanged off the board already. I mean, true, like his queen is open, but I still feel like most gambits white wants to keep the pieces on the board. So you should consider it. So you play knight on g to e7. Now obviously, pawn takes pawn, knight g6, I think we're going to see. Darwin Yang. It's a name I haven't heard in a while. He's probably running a Fortune 500 company now. Chess was just for his resume. D takes c5, knight g6, and then the horrifying bishop takes g6, h takes g6, and castles. Alright. Yeah, this is definitely non-standard. I was just wondering, can you play like knight to b4? Is that just a bad move? What's the deal with that? Obviously, bishop b5 check would trade off your bad bishop, so he has to go here. I mean, this kind of thing happens in different openings. Ultimately, he'll get his tempo back if you don't do something. So let's say take. Now he probably plays a3, kicking you back. You have to retreat, and then he goes back into gambit mode. There may be some slight difference in the position. Has anyone played knight b4? No. Is it absolutely stupid? No. The engine doesn't seem to even like bishop e2. I don't know, it doesn't want to analyze. It doesn't want to go any further. Anyway, it's an interesting move. Computer wants to take the pawn here, playing it safe, and then c3. So you transpose back into some kind of well-known variation. After pawn takes pawn, well, you didn't do it. It's a good question, though, because after pawn takes pawn, I've been playing these gambit lines with white, like castles. This actually looks Johnny Hector-like, yeah. I would try this with white. We're transposing to a Johnny Hector gambit. Knight g6. Hector lost to Hellers. Wow, this is a recent game from 2021. Wow, the Swedish... Hellers has a rating from like 1988 or something. Christ. If he was like in the World Senior, he'd be cleaning up with that rating, man. He's higher rated than John Nunn. He's like older than me, and he's higher rated than... He's like 2600. That's probably like his peak rating. Quit when you're ahead. Wow. I can't believe Ferdinand Heller's is 2592. Maybe they like lowered his K factor or raised it back up again or something. How the hell can he be like 55 and 2592? All right. Anyways, Ferdinand. Knight on G to E7, C3. Yeah, so maybe just pawn takes pawn, but he'll just castle, play gambit style. Alright. So why bother? You played knight F5. The problem I'm concerned about is something with like takes on C5. Is it not an issue? It might be an issue. You know, pawn takes C5, bishop takes C5, B4. Jonathan Westerberg. This guy played this. I beat him in a stonewall attack. He played the stonewall attack against me. The nerve. Alright. B4, bishop E7. The nerve of some people. Yeah, I mean, this is something I would consider for white. It looks a little dangerous. But I guess it's not the end of the world. It's funny here that people play knight h4. Wow, that's cool. Nazar Furman and Branimir Podzielny. So a bunch of good players. At least 3 good players. Oh, this is an old Nazar Furman game from 2000. Wow. He was only 2361. I met him in like 2000, 2001. Maybe it was later. Maybe it was 2002. He was like an IM 2450. That's when John Fedorovich wanted to like kill me. That was in Vermont. That's an old game. Wow, knight h4, undermining the e5 pawn. Okay, so bishop takes c5. What's our game? Well, he played bishop takes f5. Classic. Funny, it's not that common here. But normally the pawns have already been exchanged. Is this going to be a problem? Like, I like this is okay for black if the c-pawn's already been exchanged. See, this seems to be an issue. Is this a problem? Udazin versus Goffstein, 1995. Bishop takes c5. Did Leonid play b4? No. There is a game with b4. But this is going to be a different structure. You know, now he has isolated your pawn on d5. How serious a problem is this? Well, we'll see. We won't see because it didn't happen. But after castles, we can't take on d4 because of knight takes. Kuprejcik. We can't keep the tension forever. Now, you might consider c4 later on. He has a very strong pawn chain. You know, I mean, it's not mandatory to play bishop e6 right now. All players play bishop e6 here, but what about h6? Ah, there was a game. Wait, there was a game. What if we play h6 first? Let's not be dogmatic, Uber Driver. Uber Driver made a 500-bit donation earlier. He is the bit leader. Who's going to be number 3? So what about ace h6? Emanuel Berg with white. Do you guys... What is it with the Swedish players? Emanuel Berg. Jonathan Westerberg. Johnny Hector and Ferdinand Hellers. It's just Swedish players. But the thing that's interesting about Emanuel Berg is the fact that he's a French player. And he's playing white and he plays the advanced French. It's unusual for a French player to play the advanced French. There's an iceberg on f5. A Swedish berg. But I think h6 is interesting. You know, we take away bishop g5. We might just go with the second level pawns. Flanks of pawns. I don't think bishop e6 is automatic. Alright, it's okay. b3. That's a real like telegraphing, super telegraphy move. What could white be up to? Maybe he wants to play bishop a3. What do you think, boys and girls? Is our opponent going to play bishop a3? There's a good chance. The first thing you got to think about it, okay, if I trade pawns, can he still take with the knight, or can I win this? I think it still looks ridiculously dangerous, unfortunately. You know, it's funny that he has this awesome pawn chain, and he like kind of ruins it with like b3. The strategic idea would be, you know, to trade dark square bishops. Obviously, if like bishop g5, black has queen d7, or possibly queen b6. I don't know about queen b6 because of this, honestly. I don't know. But I still think like maybe I want to prevent that, prevent defense. Wait, no, black's move. Dude, it's up there. I'm like a natural born French player. Seriously. b6, I missed it. Damn. But the bishop e6 is like a dogmatic auto move, you know? White's not even threatening anything. I mean, if you're playing Miralles, yeah, you've got to play bishop e6. Because he's going to hit you with e6. I didn't see b6. The idea is to take back with the pawn on c5. This is brutal, though, c4. You got to watch out for c4. That's the other sneaky thing about, and also, by the way, h6 is a good move. But the other thing about b3, he could shift pawn structures on us. Like a quicksand. Castles, if we, you know, if we screw around too much. We gotta watch c4. Bishop e6 does also pressure c4, so it's not such a bad move. But maybe now we do h6, and if he does bishop a3, we play b6. We have the best of all worlds. Bring it on. I say this is how we play it. We stop c4. We stopped getting an isolated pawn. We stopped bishop g5. We have g5. What you doing? What you gonna do to me here? This looks pretty good. I guess knight d2. He's got to watch this. So, I mean, white doesn't have h4 anymore. h4 is like suicide. Once you played bishop a3, it's like h4 is resigning because of g5. You're practically resigning. So I'm not sure white would actually, you know, if you play h6, he's got to seriously think about like h4. But I mean, I'm a little scared here with white because g5 could come in at any moment. Bishop e7. Maybe h5, right? But then there's like g5 takes, and where's the party? I mean, I'm not really sure about this. Black looks pretty active. D takes c5, g5 for the feint of heart. b4. This is not at all like dynamic. Alright, I'm not going to look at the engine anymore, but this thing could get out of control if Mule Skinner plays aggressively. He played c takes d4, and honestly, I have a bad feeling about this. But maybe it's not so bad. You're going to have to trade the knight on d4. If he takes with the knight, you can't take on e5. There's also bishop a3. So what are you going to do? Like, and you're giving him the c3 square for his knight. So if knight d4, he's threatening bishop a3. Taking is playable, but he's still threatening bishop a3. And he's threatening knight c3. If pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, he's threatening bishop a3. We transpose to a Robert Hubner game from 2009. That's crazy. And black lost with h6, my favorite move. But it's too late now. Is it too late now? Let's see. Okay, h6. Huebner played bishop a3, but black has knight b4. Yeah, I think like Huebner's opponent wasn't bloodthirsty enough. Bishop a3. He played bishop takes a3. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would look at this seriously. It may just be bad, but you got to at least consider it. Bishop a3, let's see. Knight a3, queen a5. Queen a5 is always bad. Queen a5, knight c2. I have no idea who his opponent is. And now he plays rook c8 when g5 was strong. But who's going to play g5 against Robert Huebner? Because he's Robert Huebner. Everyone's afraid. Knight on fe1. He would find that. f4. No, black has counterplay. It's an interesting game. This does look scary, though. I don't like that square. You got to play energetically. I'm not sure about the pawn exchange. Alright. So takes... By the way, like, knight takes d4 deserves consideration. What are we going to do now? Can't take on e5. I don't think so. It's not good. Alright, pawn takes pawn. h6 is Huebner. Huebner game. Black played bishop e7. But I mean, he's going to play bishop a3 anyway. You know he's going to play bishop a3. Here's another suggestion. Are you ready? a5. Oof, that's ugly. I mean, we're weakening a4, this, but we can always play knight b4. So knight c3, bishop e7, bishop a3, oh, you know, and knight b4. Obviously, that doesn't work. Sorry, my bad. Bishop a3, not a good move here. First, he should play bishop a3, knight b4. Wow, there's another move, bishop b4. That's really weird. Pretty cool, huh? I like that one. So a5 is an interesting idea. Wow, even cooler, bishop b4. With the idea of a5, if necessary. So Mulescater has a lot of cool ideas here. Here, and then rook c8. This is solid, but it feels too routine. Bishop e7, queen e7. I don't want to end up in like a pure knight versus bishop ending with no counterplay. a3, and then f4. Wow. Just saving time on no h6. Nice. Queen d3, g5. There we go. Knight c3. Yeah, pawns can't move backwards, you know that, right? White has a huge threat of knight b5 here. So I am seriously worried about that. I kind of wish we hadn't put our rook on c8. a6 is not desirable. No, this is a serious issue. Yeah, no, computer, very computerish. I mean, bishop e4, very computerish, absolutely. I don't know what we're going to do about this. This is a serious issue. I mean, a6, knight e4, I don't like these squares. I don't know how serious our kingside threats are, really. Okay, g4, whatever. He does g4, okay. Knight retreats. So now, where's our play? I mean, what are you going to do? How are we going to get counterplay here? There's not enough. You can't just like throw your pawns at him. So he played a6. And now, is there a better move? It looks like the computer thinks there's a better move, but I don't know what it could be. G3 or something crazy? No, white's threatening knight b5. Is there some sort of tactic here? I just don't get it. Queen g5? No. I mean, this is coming in. What's the secret? Holy mother. Wow. Ben Feingold. Dude, there's no way I would find that f6 in this position. It just looks insane. Black's king is sitting in the middle of the board. You know, interestingly, if white had played knight d2 instead of knight e1, then this probably like gets blown to pieces, you know, because of the e file. But only because the knight is on e1, blocking the rook there. Unbelievable. You can smack him with f6. I was staring, looking at the position like, what can black... I looked at knight takes d4. I swear, I looked at knight takes d4. I looked at knight takes e5. I considered like every possibility. Queen g5. But f6, because of Ben Feingold and his stupid idea that you're never supposed to play f6. Phew. The key to destroying the center, of course. Unbelievable. I mean, it would still be scary. Like here, pawn takes pawn, knight takes, I don't know, queen d4. Hello? Hello? Is it me you're looking for? I mean, this looks a little bit dangerous, no? I mean, is it just me or connect 5? That is a little dangerous. You know what I like, though? This. This is awesome. Are you ready? Now I want to play queen g5. The ultimate cheapo. And f6 also gives a square for the king. And now when white plays rook e1, pa-jing! Pa-jing! And you... Oops, sorry, you have to resign now. Knight f3 check. Winning your queen. Pawn takes pawn, and then mate. Yeah, that would be sweet. That's an amazing move, f6. Damn. I just couldn't find it. This was a huge moment, and I looked at the position for 2 minutes, didn't see it. I know this is a threat. Castles is okay. I mean, I probably would have played castles rather than a6, because a6 looks very weakening on the dark squares. And now you played f3 because your pawn's attacked. Yeah, but I mean, we have an option. Well, it's never too late to play f6, basically. But now this. It's not as good as it once was. Yeah, we'll probably have to castle and pray we have enough compensation. You missed the window of opportunity there. I mean, f3 doesn't do anything for the dark squares. If I were white, I would seriously consider playing g3. You know, just keeping it locked. Of course, I mean, g3, h5, maybe even h4, I don't know. He plays b4. I don't know what that's about. Seems like there's something happening on the king side. Yeah, he's just trying to reinforce control of c5. Wow. I mean, king h1 doesn't look right. So rather than b4, let's make him play g3. When you play h5, he plays h4, and when you take en passant, he can play maybe like knight takes f3 or something. White needs to show a little bit of like defensive skill here. If he can blockade on the dark squares, I think he's in a good position. So what's going on? g3, h4, yep. Wow. f6. It's an unbelievable position. F6. Masters of pawn chains. He takes F6, queen takes F6. Knight C2. Castles, because that's totally normal. Yeah. But I mean, white just went passive here. I mean, king H1 doesn't look good. It really doesn't look good. He could run into trouble on both color complexes. G3. Now he played B5. I wish we could get our queen in somehow. We need our F6. I guess we still need our F6. You could like get your queen in here. Into the game somehow. There's also queen H7. I guess the problem is he's threatening B5. Although that's not... Yeah, this is a problem. Like knight A5, knight takes D5 or something like that. It's kind of a threat. So you play B5, which is ugly, but it stops the threat here. And now I think I'm still wondering about F6. It may be too late. So should you play like pawn takes G2 or something? I mean H2? He's threatening FG, HG, rook takes G3. Maybe he'll still get play. Can we open it up? Yeah, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. Wow. So this is amazing. You found the only move. Queen A7. That is the only move for black, apparently. Generating counterplay against D4. Can't he play like knight to C2? Well, he has no time. How does that work? Well, what about... Oh, I see, and you've got an X-ray here? Wow. So if knight C2, pawn takes F2, queen takes F2, and you have knight takes E5 at the end with a skewer here... It's messy, but maybe it's okay. There's also his knight, the business of his knight not being protected there. Yeah, so I think he has to take, and then you get the key pawn. That changes everything. The key central pawn, F4. Now you have the tactic rook C3. How's your bad bishop doing? Wow, rook C3. You have really interesting ideas here with bishop F5. Yeah, that's what you played. This bishop is so close to just... You could get like a quadruple fork after bishop E4 check, and then he goes king G1, and it's like piece, 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 fork, knight E2. You could fork like 4 things simultaneously with bishop F5. I can't believe you lost this game. Wow. So if you play rook takes C3, are you winning? You have this. He has to take. You play check. He has to play king G1. I don't understand. He has knight G2 there? Oh my god. Oh my god. And then you do like an Arabian mate? Is that a good move, master? He has rook C8 check. Oh no. Well, you'll have to just move your king. You can't. Shit. Rook takes c3, rook takes c3. Wow. So is this a mistake to play bishop f5? What other moves do you have? Rook d1. I feel like we have something here. You could just play like knight e6 or something, I guess. I mean, at the end of the day, you're down the exchange, but your pieces are all very active. f4 is weak. You have a pass pawn here. You have super active pieces, you know. I mean, this is like knight takes d5 check with the rook coming down here. It looks kind of scary for white. Man. So rook d1 here is playable, but not the best move. Rook takes c3. What do we got? It doesn't work. Damn. I would have found knight e6, but this was the best move. Wow. Keeping the tension with rook c4. That I need more time to find that. I mean, was bishop f5 a mistake? Wow. You could play rook c4 immediately. Or knight f5. Knight f5. Idea d4 and then bishop d5. So this ended up being a mistake. Rook d1. And now you're only like equal after this. But you played knight e6. Okay. Well, knight e6 is decent. Knight g2. d4. Here. Yeah, I was scared of knight d5, knight f6 check or something like that. And you're winning now. Wow. Why are you winning here? Just because of the passed pawn? You have mates with rook c2. Back rank mates. Mates of various types and flavors. Is rook c2 good enough? You missed your game. I gotta go, guys. This is the last game. You're winning here with d3. It's a blunder. Damn. So rook c2. Knight takes d4. Knight takes d4. Rook takes d4. Rook c1 check. Knight e1. You're just up a piece. Oh no. You're just up a piece. I guess he just doesn't really have a good move here. After rook c2. I mean, he could try knight g1, but you're all over him now. I mean, this looks very, very dangerous. It's like perfect coordination. The black pieces are perfectly coordinationed. Coordinationed. This is probably time pressure. Emil Skinner blundered. So he can sack, right? Like takes. He's done an exchange there though. Takes. I'm not sure about this. I would be scared with white. So he plays knight c1. This is okay. Although it looks passive too. You know, you have like d2. d2 almost looks like it's winning. d2 looks really scary for white. But I guess he just goes back and your pawn is going to fall. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird position. Like, for example, what do? Rook c2, rook c3. And suddenly, he's like threatening this. He's gonna go rook c8 check on you. It's a really weird situation. And maybe you're actually not wanting to push the pawn. Yeah, this would be a nightmare though. Figure this out in time pressure. It's no wonder you lost. You're winning, but it's like really complicated. So you played bishop e4. So you're supposed to just go like rook c3, right? Let me guess. The computer will be like, oh, rook c3. I don't know. d2. d2 looks like here. I don't know if I could figure this position out if I had time. I just can't find a freaking move. It must be something crazy. I'm almost looking at this, you know. If I can only get my rook to c1. This doesn't work. I mean, knight takes d4, rook c1. He has knight e3. Bishop e4 check, king g1, and you just lose. So what am I missing here? Just this? Then this? Then this? Then this? Then this? And it's probably like equal chances. Because check you have, well, whatever. What's happening here? Winning for black. So he plays knight c1. You actually have knight d4. Pretty much anything. Wow. But rook c3 looks decent. No, he would take, right? I said d2, sorry. d2, knight e2, and then bishop e4. And then rook takes d2, knight takes f4. That, oh my god. How sick is that position? If you had enough time, you absolutely are winning this game. But I'm sure that you were in time pressure. What a sick position. Both of his knights, and he's forked, and he's like up the exchange, and he's getting mated on the back rank. He's totally paralyzed. Wow. Yeah, d2 is really tricky. It's not even the best move. Like, the best move is king e7, and it's equal. You're not winning, but you have lots of chances. Bishop e4, knight takes e3. It's going to take a catastrophic blunder to lose this. What do you have now? Rook c3? You have rook c3. At the minimum. This is over the board game. You have this at least, right? Threatening the proverbial knight takes f4. What a position, man. What a position. So white's up the exchange, but he's worse. White's up the exchange and a pawn, but he's worse. Yeah, it's tough. This is just an outright blunder. And suddenly you're just like 2 pawns down for nothing. Yul Skinner went from almost winning to 2 pawns down for nothing in one move. It's a really, really weird blunder. The bishop pin here is... yeah. It's just a really absurd one-move blunder. It's just not easy to see like a winning move, and you probably used all your time and then panicked. It's hard to decide what to play. I think this for c3. Yeah, king g1. Now you have bishop takes g2 in some positions with a fork. I was looking at this. Maybe it's not that good. There's actually lines where you could be worse. Yeah, it was really not easy. Bishop g2 is only slightly better for white. You have to find knight d4 there. So the best move isn't even rook c3. Jesus, it's knight... No, bishop a8. Like, that's, of course, computer. Obviously, bishop a8. Yeah, no, rook c3 is as good as anything. But after king g1, there's no win. I probably would have played this, and I would have, like, gone into a worse ending, a pawn down. Here, check, king g3. This is what I would have done. Go into this ending and being like, oh my god, I don't know if it's a loss or a draw. This is what would have happened if it was my game. I'm maybe hanging on for a draw if I'm lucky. Rook h5. I thought maybe rook d6. Rook takes e5. Rook takes a6. Like, theoretical draw. But I mean, maybe that's what you have to do. You know, just like accept the fact that there's no time and try to find a line that's a draw. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. That was a really interesting game, Mule Skinner. Tomorrow, good luck. A big chance to win the tournament. Well, you don't need to be nervous. No, nervous doesn't help. You've had your whole life to think things over. What a few minutes going to do for you now? Can I have a last request? Thanks everybody. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning for some rapid challenges. Thanks, Move11. Masturbate everybody. Mr. Coffee, as always. I enjoyed going over the games. I'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.